3 in the morning. Eyes open. Heart running a little fast for no reason you can name, and you already know tomorrow is going to feel like walking through fog. For years I told patients that kind of night was simply aging. It usually isn't. More often it's about what your body is quietly starved of during those 8 hours in the dark. And the cheapest way to fix it is the one snack almost everyone over 60 has been warned to never eat before bed. A single spoonful of natural peanut butter. Not a treat, a tool. And what it does between midnight and sunrise reaches your blood sugar, your sleep, and your heart rhythm in a single night. I spent years in emergency medicine, and what stays with you isn't the dramatic saves. It's how often someone lands in front of you after months of small signals they were told to ignore. Waking at the same hour every night, legs that cramp, a heart that flutters and settles. Each one waved off as getting older, while underneath, the body was running on empty at the exact hours it does its most important work. Here's what I want to walk you through, and it pays off. First, what your body is actually doing overnight and why that changes after 60. Then exactly what a spoonful does to your blood sugar, your sleep chemistry, your muscles, and your heart. I'll walk you through the 3 smartest ways to eat it, and the exact amount. And stay with me for the part most people have never heard. Because there is one mineral in that spoonful that a very common heartburn pill may be quietly draining out of millions of older adults, and almost no one connects it to the way they feel at 3 in the morning. Let's start with what happens while you sleep, because the rest depends on it. When you fall asleep, your body doesn't switch off. It switches jobs into repair mode. Muscle gets rebuilt. The brain runs a rinse cycle and clears out waste. Hormones reset for the day ahead. It runs every night whether you feed it well or not. The catch is that after 60, the machinery gets less forgiving. You release less growth hormone during deep sleep. Your muscles rebuild more slowly, and your blood sugar, the fuel all of this runs on, gets far more unstable overnight than it was in your 40s. You feel the result before you can name it. You wake for no clear reason. You're stiff after a full night down. Your energy is flat before your first coffee. Most people file that under aging. A lot of it is really about what you gave your body to work with at bedtime. Now, blood sugar, and the hidden reasons so many people snap awake around 2 or 3. Say the words blood sugar, and most people picture diabetes and tune out. Don't, because this instability touches nearly every adult over 60, diagnosed or not. Here is a typical night. You eat dinner at 6 or 7. By around midnight, your blood sugar has drifted down. If it dips too far, your body treats it as a small emergency. It fires off cortisol and adrenaline, your stress hormones, to shove stored sugar back into your bloodstream. Those same hormones are alarm chemicals. They don't wake you with a jolt. They just lift you out of deep sleep and leave you staring at the ceiling, doing the math on how many hours you have left. That is why 8 hours in bed can feel like almost no rest at all. Does that sound like your night? Here's the fix, and why this particular food. Natural peanut butter sits very low on the glycemic index, which is a fancy way of saying it releases its energy slowly, over hours, instead of spiking and crashing. Its mix of protein, healthy fat, and a little slow carbohydrate is close to exactly what your body wants to hold blood sugar steady through the night. Think of it like banking your fire before bed. You don't throw on kindling that flares up and burns out in 20 minutes. You lay down one slow, dense log that holds a low, even heat until morning. That's the job that spoonful is doing on the inside. But here is where most people have the story backwards. And this is the part I really want you to hear. For a lot of adults over 60, the 3 a.m. problem isn't only sugar dropping too low, it's sugar climbing too high. There's a well-documented pattern doctors call the dawn phenomenon, and the Mayo Clinic describes it as an early morning rise in blood sugar, usually between 4 and 8 in the morning. In those pre-dawn hours, your body releases a wave of hormones to get you ready to wake. Growth hormone, cortisol, glucagon, and adrenaline, and that wave makes your cells temporarily resist insulin. The result is your blood sugar can rise while you're asleep and eating nothing at all. It's the engine revving before anyone turns the key. Why does that matter tonight? It changes what the right bedtime snack is. If you reach for crackers, a bowl of cereal, or toast with jam, you are pouring fast sugar onto a fire that's already about to climb. What the research points to instead is a small snack that's mostly protein and fat with very little sugar, which is precisely what a plain spoonful of natural peanut butter is. The Mayo Clinic's own guidance for this pattern is to avoid loading up on carbohydrates at bedtime. Peanut butter fits that rule almost perfectly. That single distinction, protein and fat instead of sugar, is the difference between a snack that steadies your night and one that quietly sabotages it. That covers your fuel. Now the chemistry that actually puts you under, because you can lie in bed 8 hours and still get almost no real rest. Melatonin is your main sleep hormone, and your brain can't make it from nothing. It needs a building block, an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan becomes serotonin, the calm, settled chemical, and serotonin becomes melatonin, the signal that pulls you into deep sleep. Break that chain anywhere, and the restoring stages just don't come. Peanuts happen to be a natural source of tryptophan, and here's the clever part. The healthy fat in peanut butter helps that tryptophan actually cross into your brain where it's needed. In plain terms, the fat is the delivery truck for the sleep ingredient. And there's a newer piece to this that surprises people. Roughly 90% of your body's serotonin isn't made in your brain at all. It's made in your gut. So, a real food snack that gives your digestive system something steady and fiber-rich to work with is quietly supporting the very production line that ends in a good night's sleep. Now for the part I promised you at the top, and it's the one that ties almost everything together. That spoonful of peanut butter isn't just protein and fat. 2 tablespoons carry around 50 milligrams of magnesium, and magnesium may be the most underrated mineral for anyone over 60. Here's why. The National Institutes of Health point to survey data showing about 48% of Americans take in less magnesium than they need from food, and older men are among the most likely to fall short. So we're talking about a gap that roughly half the country is walking around with and doesn't know it. Magnesium is sometimes called the calming mineral, and that's not marketing. It helps switch on your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side that lowers your heart rate and tells your body it's safe to stand down for the night. It feeds a brain chemical called GABA, which is essentially your mind's brake pedal, the thing that quiets racing thoughts. And the NIH is blunt about its physical role. Magnesium helps move calcium and potassium across your cell membranes, and that traffic is what keeps nerve signals, muscle contractions, and your heartbeat steady. Nerves, muscles, heartbeat. All three lean on it. Think of magnesium as the dimmer switch for your whole nervous system. When it's low, the lights won't turn down, and your body can't drop into the dark it needs. Now hold that thought, because this is where it gets personal for a lot of you. I think of a man I'll call Dennis, 69, a retired plant foreman outside Toledo. For years he'd been waking around 3, legs cramping, heart doing a little flutter before it settled, feeling wrung out by morning. Every bit of it got chalked up to his age. What nobody had connected was the small pill he'd taken every day for a decade for his heartburn. Here is the piece almost no one tells you. Back in 2011, the FDA issued a formal safety warning that long-term use of the common acid-reducing drugs, the proton pump inhibitors, medicines like omeprazole, Prilosec, Nexium, and Protonix can be associated with low magnesium. The agency advised doctors to check a magnesium level before starting people long-term and to keep watching it. Yet most people on them for years have never once had that number looked at. Follow the loop because it's a quiet one. The reflux leads to the pill. The pill, over years, slowly pulls magnesium down. Low magnesium shows up as exactly what Dennis had: muscle cramps, an irregular or fluttering heartbeat, poor sleep, and fatigue. And every one of those symptoms looks just like ordinary aging, so no one checks the mineral, so the pill keeps doing its quiet work. It's a slow leak in the tank that nobody thinks to look for. It gets missed for another reason too. The standard blood test for magnesium can read normal even when your body's real stores are running low, because your blood holds on to its magnesium at the expense of your tissues. So the numbers reassure everyone while the tank keeps draining. Read that again. A normal test. A draining tank. Now, before anyone panics, here's what to do, because this is where fear turns useful. Do not stop a reflux medication on your own. Stopping suddenly can send the acid roaring back worse than before. This is not a reason to quit your pill. It's a reason to ask one good question. At your next visit, ask your doctor 2 things. Could my long-term acid reducer be affecting my magnesium, and can we check the level? If you're on Medicare, your yearly annual wellness visit costs you nothing, and it's the perfect place to raise it. And here's the honest limit of tonight's spoonful. 50 milligrams of magnesium is a real contribution to a gap half of us have. But if a medication is draining you faster than food refills you, food alone won't close it. That's a conversation, not a jar, so ask. 1 number, 1 visit. Getting that 1 number checked is the kind of small, unglamorous step that quietly changes how someone feels at 3 in the morning. Let's come back to your muscles, the body's overnight repair crew. Your muscles don't actually rebuild at the gym. They rebuild while you sleep. Every stair you climbed today, every bag you carried, left tiny stresses in the muscle that your body patches overnight. The trouble after 60 is that this crew gets slower and a little deaf. Scientists call it anabolic resistance, which simply means your muscles no longer answer protein's knock the way they did at 40. Miss that nightly window, and the loss creeps in quietly. So the timing of protein starts to matter more, including a little at night, while the rebuilding is actually underway. Studies on older adults find that protein before sleep measurably improves how much muscle they rebuild overnight. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter give you about 7 grams of protein. That's not much on its own, and it works best alongside real protein during the day, but delivered right when the repair crew is on shift, it helps. Small dose, right timing. And this isn't about looking a certain way. After 60, muscle is independence, getting out of a chair without your hands, carrying your own groceries, staying steady on your own stairs. Now to your heart, and for a lot of you, this is the personal one. Maybe your doctor has said the word cholesterol or high blood pressure, and it's been sitting in the back of your mind ever since. I've got some good news for you. Peanut butter is rich in the healthier monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, the same family found in olive oil. Those fats gently nudge your HDL, the protective cholesterol, up, while helping bring your LDL, the kind that clogs, down. But there's a second mechanism most people have never heard, and it's a good one. Peanuts are loaded with an amino acid called arginine. Your body uses arginine as the raw material to make nitric oxide, a tiny molecule with a big job. Nitric oxide is the signal that tells the muscle in your artery walls to relax and open up. Picture a garden hose. Same water, but if the walls loosen and widen, the pressure inside drops. That's part of why nut research keeps pointing the same way. Scientists at Penn State have found that regular peanut eating supports healthier, more flexible arteries, softer walls, easier flow. There's a nighttime angle here worth knowing too. Your blood pressure is supposed to fall while you sleep, usually by 10 to 20%. In a lot of older adults, it doesn't. A pattern cardiologists call non-dipping, and it's tied to higher heart risk. That missing dip matters. The steadier blood sugar and calmer stress hormones from the right bedtime snack are linked to healthier overnight blood pressure. Zoom out to the long run, and the evidence is encouraging. A major study in the New England Journal of Medicine followed tens of thousands of people and found that regular nut eaters had a meaningfully lower risk of dying from heart disease in the years that followed. Now, I'll be honest. A spoonful of peanut butter doesn't cancel out everything else. It's one small, steady lever, pulled night after night in the right direction. And since the American Heart Association now calls 130/80 the start of high blood pressure, catching a creeping number early matters more than ever. Let me stop and answer the question I can feel some of you asking, because I hear it constantly. Isn't peanut butter fattening? Won't eating anything before bed just make me gain weight? It's a fair worry, and the science is more interesting than the myth. What drives fat gain is the type of food and your total calories, not the clock on the wall. A sugary snack before bed, yes, that can go straight to storage. But a small protein and fat snack behaves completely differently. Researchers at Florida State University found that a modest protein-rich snack of around 150 calories at night didn't cause fat gain and actually supported people's overnight metabolism. Here's the logic. When you sleep on a crashing blood sugar, your body reads it as a mild famine and slows your metabolism to cling to fat. Give it steady fuel instead, and it stays in calm repair mode all night. Done right, with a sensible portion, this habit can work in your favor rather than against it. So, how should you actually eat it? On its own, a plain spoonful is the cleanest option, especially if blood sugar is your main concern. But the right pairing can do even more, and it depends on you. Best for most is peanut butter with apple slices. Apple's soluble fiber buffers its natural sugar so smoothly you get sweetness with no real spike. Half an apple with 1 tablespoon, light and smart. Next is peanut butter with a banana, which brings potassium and a little more magnesium to ease those leg cramps, plus a touch of tryptophan. But a banana also brings more sugar, so save it for people who are active, thin, or trying to hold weight on, not someone fighting high morning readings. Last is peanut butter on whole grain toast, whose slow carbohydrate feeds the gut bacteria that help make your serotonin and suits people who wake up genuinely hungry. Though if you're prone to that high pre-dawn sugar, go easy. Match the pairing to your body and rotate across the week. Before you buy a jar, know what to look for, because most of what's on the shelf works against you. A lot of popular brands hide added sugar, often listed as corn syrup and hydrogenated oils. Those spike your blood sugar and stir up the exact inflammation you're trying to calm at night, so read the ingredient list, not the front. Real, natural peanut butter has 2 things in it: peanuts and maybe a pinch of salt. Yes, the oil separates and you stir it, and that's a good sign. It means nothing artificial is holding it together. And here's a small trap worth knowing if your blood pressure is on your mind. A salted jar carries around 135 milligrams of sodium in 2 tablespoons. One night, that's nothing. But eaten 4 or 5 nights a week for months, it adds up. So reach for the unsalted or lightly salted version. If peanuts aren't for you, almond butter gives similar benefits with a bit more magnesium, and sunflower seed butter is a solid nut-free option. Now the numbers. The sweet spot is 1 to 2 tablespoons, eaten 30 to 60 minutes before bed. 2 level tablespoons run about 190 calories, enough to steady your blood sugar and deliver that magnesium without sitting heavy. Pairing it with apple or toast, drop to 1 tablespoon. Give it at least half an hour to start digesting. Don't eat it climbing into bed. And consistency beats intensity. 4 or 5 nights a week, over 2 or 3 weeks, is where the real change shows up. Fewer 3 a.m. wake-ups, less morning stiffness, steadier energy the moment you're up. Now, this isn't right for everyone. If you have a peanut allergy, skip it. Go with sunflower seed butter instead. If you deal with reflux or heartburn, and remember, that may be the very reason you're on an acid pill in the first place, high-fat food near bedtime can make it worse. So keep the amount tiny. Eat it closer to the full hour before you lie down. If it bothers you, drop it. If you take medication for type 2 diabetes, an evening snack can shift your numbers and your dosing, so clear it with your doctor first. On a strict calorie budget, count those 190 calories like anything else. One more thing, and I mean this plainly. A heart that flutters now and then and settles is worth a mention to your doctor this week, and worth asking for a magnesium and potassium check. If it's happening often but you otherwise feel fine, that's what urgent care is for. Same day, and far cheaper than the ER. But a heart that's pounding or truly irregular, with chest pressure, breathlessness, or dizziness, is not a snack question. That's a call 911 situation. You don't drive yourself. Knowing those lines is part of taking care of yourself. So let me bring this together into something you can carry. If you remember one thing tonight, Make it this. The right spoonful, at the right time, in the right form, gives your body the fuel and minerals it's quietly missing during its most important 8 hours. Buy the jar with 2 ingredients and no added sugar. Take 1 to 2 tablespoons, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, plain or with apple slices, 4 or 5 nights a week. And if you're one of the millions on a daily heartburn pill, ask your doctor to check your magnesium. That one question has quietly changed how a lot of people feel at 3 in the morning. Your body does extraordinary work every night. It rebuilds muscle, clears your brain, settles your hormones, and gets you ready for another day in your own home, on your own 2 feet. The least we can do is hand it the right tools. So here's your one small move. Tonight, go read the label on the jar already in your kitchen. That's it. Then give it a week and notice whether you still wake at the same old hour. If someone you love lies awake at 3 a.m. blaming their age, or takes a reflux pill every day, send this to them. None of this replaces your own doctor, who knows your history in ways a video never can, so bring it to your next visit. Take good care of yourself. You've earned it.